Hello everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media. So day 7 of my 13 days of Halloween is a big one. Not only are we halfway through now, more than halfway through actually, but we are reviewing one of the biggest, most well-known films from the Asylum of all time. We are talking 2013's Sharknado. So this is actually a revisit for me, which I didn't realize. I forgot, but apparently I've watched this in the past. I believe we watched it when it premiered on the Sci-Fi channel back in 2013. But for some reason I thought we only watched like half of it and then turned it off. But apparently I watched the whole thing because it did have a rating on IMDb from me. But I'll be honest, going through it this time, there were like 2 moments that stuck out to me in the second half of the film. But other than that, it felt like a brand new viewing. And so I cannot wait to talk about this Asylum bona fide cult classic. If you guys have been enjoying these 13 days, please give this video a like down below. That really does help me out. But with that said, let's not waste any time at all. Let's dive right into day 7, where I review Sharknado from 2013. It's 2013. That's right. As you guys can see, I do own Sharknado on Blu-ray. This does have the Blu-ray and DVD inside, and there are some special features on this disc. There's like a 10-minute, 11-minute making of thing. There's a gag reel on here. There's commentary from some of the actors and the director. And then there is a bunch of trailers, which I always love the Asylum trailers on these. So Sharknado was directed by Anthony C. Ferranti, who is another repeat director because he directed Hansel and Gretel from day 2. I liked that one well enough. But what does he do with this ridiculous, over-the-top idea of a tornado filled with sharks? Well, let's talk about that. So this is exactly what you expect it to be if you've not seen this one before. There is a storm that hits the LA area, and it brings sharks up on shore and into, you know, the roadways and everything like that. And eventually, we do get the titular Sharknado, which is just something to behold for sure. So let me say right off the front here, like, if you do not like tons and tons of below average CGI, you're not going to like this movie in the least, because this movie is just loaded to the brim with CGI. I think I saw, and this could be wrong, but I felt like I saw one real shark for like 2 seconds, and then everything else was, well, not 100% CGI. There was some practical effects in there as well, but the majority of what you're looking at is mostly done in post with special CGI work. And boy, oh boy, it's not the best, that's for sure. But this one is so hard to review. This is not a movie that was made for review. Like, it doesn't care what you think about it, really. It is just ridiculous for ridiculous sake. And it sets out to do exactly that. Like, it is an over-the-top, absurd movie that makes very little sense. So we get some big names in this one, which we haven't really seen in the past, outside of like Dee Wallace and Hansel and Gretel. But you have Tara Reid in this from American Pie fame. At least that's how I know her best. Ian Ziering from Beverly Hills 90210, the original. And then John Hurd, the father from Home Alone, is how I know him best. Those are 3 of our like 4 or 5 main characters. The girl's name, I forget what her name is. Let me just look it up real quick here. Cassandra Skirbo is our like main female lead in this. So with this one, we are following this group of people who are basically trying to rescue their family, like Ian Ziering's family. We start off in the bar that he owns. The sharks attack there after the wave hits. So then they try to go to higher ground to protect his ex-wife, I guess it is, and his daughter. Once they get there, they realize that their son is elsewhere, so they have to go there to find him. And then it's about attacking these Sharknadoes to stop this ridiculous onslaught of tornadoes and sharks. And so that's the basic premise of what we're doing here. And then from there, we're just going to encounter kind of some like ridiculous situations as they're trying to get from point A to point B to C and so on. One of them that is very memorable is a bus scene. Instead of, they pull up to this bus, and instead of just driving the extra like 20 feet to see if there's any kids inside the school bus, they decide that the better option is to go onto the bridge and rappel down on a rope to then see if there's anybody in the school bus and then save them if there is, which is just so absurd, but it's just what this movie is doing. The things that kind of got annoying to me, or were that took me out of it a little bit, was the like rainfall was super inconsistent. In fact, I think I wrote down like the only thing consistent about the flooding and the rainfall is that it is all over the place. It is super inconsistent. You will have, at one point they're in a house and they have water that's up to their waist that they're fighting sharks in, and then they go outside and there's no water at all leading up to their car. Like, it just makes no sense. And then seconds later, that whole house explodes, because apparently that's what happens when you are in a flood. 10 minutes after your house is flooded, it just explodes into this giant thing. Like, it's just so ridiculous. There is just a really bad, like, family drama tossed in here. Fortunately, they don't pay it a lot of mind, but when it's there, it's just like, this is terrible. Why are you doing this? At one point, the sister gets legitimately mad that they're trying to rescue her brother, which is not at all what the character seems like, because they're hugging at points. Like, it's just so strange. And I don't know why they like shoehorn that stupid thing in there. Oh, and then the relationship between like, oh, this was so confusing to me. So Ian Ziering's character and then our main girl, who is much younger than him, they seem to have some type of relationship, but it's not really clear what it is. She doesn't know he has a wife. She doesn't know he has a child, let alone 2 children. But like, clearly she has a thing for him. But then she's going to fall for like his son, maybe, or at least it's implied later in the film. Like, it's so absurd. I don't know. Like, it's crazy. And that relationship was just weird to me. And so things like that, like, that's what this movie is. It is just crazy. Trying to reel myself back in here a little bit, I will mention John Hurd, I think, is great in this. His character is super sleazy, but I think he does a good job with it. And it's John Hurd, so it's just fun that he's in here. Baz is supposed to be like the comedic relief in this, and he is not funny a lot of the time. Like, it's not that he's not funny, the actor's not funny, it's just the jokes he's given in the script don't land probably 90% of the time. There was maybe twice out of all of his like one-liners where I genuinely laughed out loud because I thought it was funny. Otherwise, they didn't land at all. There are moments where Tara Reid's character is just, she looks so uninterested in anything that's going on. There's a point where she's looking out at this Sharknado, this tornado filled with sharks, and it's as if she's like wondering what book to read next. Like, she's looking at her bookshelf like, what should I read next? Like, it's just so uninterested in what's going on. But other than that, I think she's good. I think Ian Ziering's character is great in this. He's just that hero character, over the top, ridiculous, but he does it pretty well. I really liked Cassie Skirbo in her role. I thought she was excellent. She just plays it very seriously. Oh man, there is this like thing that goes on with her with this scar she has on her leg, and it's this big secret the entire film. And so who does she decide to share her secret with? Well, of course, it's the son, who she didn't know existed an hour ago and only met about 5 minutes prior. So that's the character she decides to share this big giant secret with. It's so silly. Okay, so I'm losing it again. I gotta reel myself back in. But yeah, so it's just, there are things to dislike here, like the CGI is not very good. It's super inconsistent just in terms of like the editing and the shots that they're making. You can tell like the bus is clearly in a very non-water filled area because they show some shots where it's very empty. But then when you get closer, you'll see the CGI water. I don't know. There's just a lot of things to dislike, but that's okay, because that's not really the point. The point is that you're watching these characters destroy these sharks over and over and over again. Yes, they're CGI, but still, they're pretty fun. There's a couple Jaws references in here. The first one I thought was great. The second one, I was like, oh no, that didn't work at all. It was just super cringy. It's that type of movie. If you know what you're getting going into this, then you might have a good time with it. You know, this is not one to sit down and expect to, think about critically at all. You just shut off your mind. You watch it with some friends, you get to laugh a little bit and have fun with it, which, Anthony Ferrante was quoted as saying that, like, he was honored to have the, like the Mystery Science Theater, but it's Riff Tracks, I think it was, did the Sharknado live, and he said it was an honor to be, mocked by them, and so they know what they're making here, because then they went on to make 5 more. Like, clearly they understand what this movie is about. So if you are wanting something like that, then give Sharknado a watch. But if you want something different than that at all, don't waste your time with this one. So I don't know, that was a super rambly review, kind of all over the place, but I'm going to leave it there. So I'm going to end up giving Sharknado 2.5 out of 5 stars. Sometimes I get to this point in the filming and I just think to myself, my God, I hope I can save this in editing because I felt like this one was so scatterbrained. But anyway, those were my kind of all over the place thoughts on Sharknado. Hopefully you guys enjoyed day 7. It was fun. It's not a good movie, but it's not supposed to be a good movie. So, it is what it is, and it does that exceptionally well. It's a good, bad movie, kind of a great example of a very good, bad movie. But anyway, guys, if you have seen Sharknado, please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. My guess is that this is probably going to be the most watched movie out of all of these that I'll have watched over these 13 days, just because it's such a well-known film. Probably a lot of people have seen this one, so I'd love to hear what your thoughts on Sharknado were down in those comments below. But as always, though, if you guys did enjoy this one, please give it a like down below. That really does help me out. And like I always say, I don't just talk movies, I talk all things media, be it books, movies, video games, graphic novels, manga. If it's media related, I'm interested in it, and if you are too, you might consider subscribing. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for today. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and I want to encourage you to consume some media today. I'll catch you next time.